This part I did not realize until I heard them this morning. According to, it was Mike Golick Jr., actually, who brought this up. There's no teeth to the mound rule, meaning the visits to the mound rule, meaning there's no punishment outlined in the rule. Because like I just said, if with the pitch clock, if the pitcher didn't have, it wasn't in his windup and ready to go in 20 seconds, it's a ball, and if the batter isn't ready, it's a strike. But they haven't said anything. What happens if a shortstop comes up and makes an extra visit to the mound? What happens in the ninth inning and we're all out of our 6, mound visits that we're allowed, and the catcher wants to go and chat up the pitcher to make sure they're clear on the signs because they got crossed up, or maybe they feel like the guy on second is stealing signs, so we got to go out and make the change. What Golick Jr. said on Golick and Wingo this morning, and we hope you listen to that every day right here on ESPN 106.5 The Ticket. I think they're doing a great job, by the way. A lot of people thought the end of the world was coming when Mike and Mike was disbanded, but I think they're doing a great job. But Jim, according to what Golick Jr. said, is there is no punishment outlined that a manager or a catcher or whomever who wants to come out, or a pitching coach, and come out and talk if they've already reached their 6 mound visit limit, and they come out, the umpire can say, hey, you're not allowed to do that, and the catcher can say, yeah, what are you going to do about it?
Right. No, that's true.
Because there's no teeth to it. It's no what is it, an out? Is there a fine coming? Is the punishment going to be baseball related to the game at hand, or is it going to be financial because you violated what we said when we said 6? Because they established no repercussions for breaking the rule, and I've never seen anything quite like that.
No, and you're completely correct about it. Again, I found the ESPN.com article on this one from yesterday that I was referencing because they have a little picture of the actual legalese of this rule itself, and nowhere in this does it mention anything about, well, what happens if they go over their 6? because the umpire, because this is how it's done at the high school level that I'm somewhat familiar with. When those happen, I'm supposed to take out my little scorecard and mark by the team that, okay, mound visit, visit. But even doing that, here in the Major League one, there's nothing outlining about, what happens if this is their 7th visit and it's the 9th inning or something. There's nothing happening. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a catcher and we've already had our 6.
All that most the umpire can do in this situation is go up there
and say, get back there.
And say, well, no, you're over your limit. You got to make a pitching change. But as you're pointing out, as Golick Jr. pointed out, there's no actual enforcement. Technically, the teams could say to the umpire, and you and what army are going to make
exactly.
me. Technically,
if I'm a catcher,
they could.
And I want to go out and clarify the signs with my pitcher late in the game, and I'm already past my 6. He's going to say, hey, you can't do that. I'm going to say, I'll just be a minute. I'll be right back. I'll just be a couple seconds. Because what are you going to do? You're not going to. You can't eject me. And if you can, it better be in that rule. What do you said? You're looking at it right now. The actual legal.
The actual legalese, kind of the language of it right now.
Does it say a player who does this shall be ejected?
Nope.
Nope.
It says nothing about.
Does it say a manager shall?
Nope.
Does it say we're gonna give the batting team an extra out this inning?
Nope. It says nothing about what the punishment for someone. It lays out what they constitute as a mound visit for this purpose. And by the way, the extra inning one is every inning in extra inning. By the way, you get one.
You get one.
So it's not just the fullness of extra innings. It's you get 1 in the 10th, 1 in the 11th, and yada yada yada.
That's just ridiculous.
That's ridiculous too, by the way. But
and
yeah,
again,
there's nothing in here about enforcement and what would have to be done if a team is violating it. So it sounds like all that the umpire could do is go out there like they do when there's a mound visit going on, and they eventually see the umpire going up there where he's really in the past been telling him, okay, your time's up, got everybody get back. All he could do is go up there and say, you're over your limit, you have to make a pitching change now. But technically speaking, Golick Jr. is right. There is no teeth to this. The team and the manager and whoever could just technically, if they want to, look at the umpire and tell him to get bent.
I want my pitch clock. First of all, if you're going to have this rule, have some teeth to it. You have to lay out the punishments. They can't just say you're out of here and eject somebody for taking that 7th visit to the mound. They can't do it because it wasn't laid out in the agreement. And I want my pitch clock. I'm reading from CBS sports writer Mike Axis, something like that. Anyway, he said it's not gone forever, the pitch clock idea, because MLB and Manfred have been pushing this hard. and that's not going to stop. They've merely tabled the talks for the rest of this year. It doesn't mean they won't bring it, next year. It's not like they've just killed the idea. So that's good news. Although, you know what? Why wait? Let's get this done now. But he also writes, keep in mind that the 20-second pitch clock has been used at the AA and AAA levels for 3 seasons now. An increasing number of big league pitchers pitched with a pitch clock in the minors. So it wouldn't even require a major adjustment for them. They are used to it.
Right. The younger you are, the more used to it you're going to be. Yep.
Yeah, the older veterans won't be used to it, but guess what else? There is this thing called spring bleeping training games. They're going to play 30 games roughly in which they can take the time to get used to the pitch clock and having to move at a certain pace.
And those start at the end of this week, by the by.
I know. How about that? The MLBPA won this battle. There won't be a pitch clock in 2018. Expect MLB and Manfred to revisit this topic after this season. I certainly hope that is the case. By the way, I got a text message from a listener named Andy who says, just limit the number of times a batter can step out of the box and readjust his batting gloves to 1 per at-bat. That would save about 90 minutes a game. And
well,
that
just
is true,
do
too.
Man, then just do what you're really saying. You're doing this for Mike Hargrove because you don't want anyone else to have the human rain delay nickname. That's what this is all about.
But
conspiracy, I tells you.
I would support that, too. Just as much as I would support the pitcher has to be ready in 20 seconds, the batter, absolutely. You must stay in the box for your entire bat save for one time. One time you can regather yourself.
And kidding aside, that's a great point. Kidding aside.
And maybe you allow a little latitude if there's, some chin music or something. If somebody steps out after 2 or 3 pitches and just kind of takes a couple of cuts and, okay, that's your one time stepping out. And then he gets one buzzed by his chin at some point in the at-bat. Excuse me. To me, he has my permission to step out and dust himself off and get himself, get his blood pressure back down a little bit, slow his heart rate down, and get ready for the rest of the at-bat, because there are some circumstances that should be considered there. But, this is frustrating. I thought baseball was going to do something very, very exciting here, and instead they've done nothing. And the one thing that they did do, while still being a big nothing burger, is unable to be enforced because they have no teeth to no punishment outlined.
By the way, speaking of these other rules, did you catch the other sub-rule change that they're putting in? Because we're all focused on the mound visits and the no pitch clock thing. Did you catch this one?
Which one?
I'll just read this paragraph from the ESPN.com article from yesterday. To assuage players' concerns about sign stealing, I love the clandestine nature of this rule, by the way, in that humor way. MLB will install new telephone lines from dugouts to video replay rooms. MLB said the lines will be monitored, and a person familiar with the decision told the AP all the conversations on the lines will be recorded. They're going all CIA tap your phone style. Did you catch this one?
I did see something about it, but I didn't read all of the details and the legalese, as you say, they were in it. So tell you what, Jim, let's hit that again a little bit more on the other side. I want to get a bottom of the hour Sports Center. Also, next half hour, I want to talk more about Adam Silver and some potential changes on the NBA side when it comes to the playoffs and seeding of teams. Could we see 2 Western teams or 2 Eastern teams in an NBA Finals? Adam Silver says kind of, sort of, yes. And we want to get your thoughts on it, too. 866-240-1065. 866-240-1065. For now, let's get wild.
ESPN 1065 The Ticket presents the Wild Stat of the Day, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Buffalo Wild Wings Wild Stat of the Day. Today, let's talk about rebounders. Some of the best in the game, including one currently playing in the D. In NBA history, there have been only 4 players to lead the league in rebounding at the All-Star break for 3 straight seasons. Those names are Wilt Chamberlain, Hall of Famer; Moses Malone, Hall of Famer; Dwight Howard, multi-time All-Star, borderline, probably not a Hall of Famer. And yes, indeed, Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond of the Pistons leads the league right now, 15.7 boards per game, which is a career high. And if he continues at that rate for the whole season, he'll be the first player since Dennis Rodman in 96-97 to average more than 15.5 boards for an entire season. That is your Buffalo Wild Wings Wild Stat of the Day. Sports Center coming. Let's get you on the radio next, right here on The Ticket.
Be part of the extravaganza right now by calling 866-240-1065. Now back to the Bob-Frantz-Extravaganza on 1065 The Ticket.
Back indeed, we are on ESPN 1065 The Ticket, where we are and will remain Toledo's sports leader. Yeah, so if you've got thoughts on the pace of play thing that we were just discussing, I'd love to hear from you, because this is the half hour to get in right now, well, the next 21 minutes anyway, before top of the hour. Because coming up at about 4:10, after the top of the hour, local sports center, Von Lozen going to join us from MaizenBrew.com. Kush, how come we don't give more love to Michigan basketball?
I don't know. We should. Our sister station is their affiliate, but we're doing it today, doggone it.
We talk to Paul Keels on a regular basis, obviously, from Ohio State, of course, and give some love to the Buckeyes.
I have a feeling we'll be having Michigan people on a weekly basis between now and whenever they're done in the tournament, because they're still going there, too.
Yeah, no question. And, especially since they're playing way better basketball. I mean, they just beat Ohio State. The Buckeyes have now lost 2 in a row to Purdue and Michigan, and we should give some love to that. We spend time talking MAC all the time. In fact, we talk with Todd Kowalczyk, the coach of UT basketball, once a week. We talk with Michael Huger, the coach at BG basketball, once a week, or in his stead, if he's out on recruiting trips or whatnot. We'll talk to Todd Walker, which will be the case today at about 4:40. But we just have been conspicuous, I think, in our negligence, I guess, of Michigan basketball. And you know what? The Wolverines are quietly putting together a nice little late-season run here to get a really good seed in the Big Ten tournament, and then obviously pushing forward to the NCAAs, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been a ranked team for weeks on end now. They might not be as sexy of a story for this season the way Ohio State might be, considering nobody expected, including us, anything from them, but they've been a consistently ranked or just about ranked team all year, and therefore, depending on what bracketologist you're looking at, I've seen them anywhere between 6 and 9 on any line. They'll make the tournament. So, we're going to talk some more Michigan over the next couple weeks. No doubt about it.
If they win their last 2 and then do a nice deep run into the Big Ten tournament, I think they could increase that number to a top 5 seed in one of the regions.
Oh, yeah. If they go to something like the Big Ten title game, particularly if they finish in the top 4 and go to the quarters instead of the second round, that always makes a difference because, when you play back-to-back days or whatever in one of these conference tournaments, now, that might help them. If they go pretty far, they could bump that seed line up a couple more.
I'm going to use this as the main reason I brought up Michigan basketball is to promote the interview we're going to do at 4:10. Von Lozen, MaizenBrew.com, is going to talk about the Wolverines' win over Ohio State, maybe preview the Big Ten tournament, see what kind of a chance they have, or, is this still Sparty Town now that Purdue has kind of struggled a bit? Ohio State has dropped off as Michigan State. So I'm going to use this now, though, as a segue into an entirely different topic. Just 2 nights ago, what would have that been? A Sunday, I guess it would have been?
Sunday night, yep.
No, it wasn't Sunday because I was watching some of the NBA All-Star game. But at some point on
the All-Star game was Sunday.
What's that?
The All-Star game was Sunday.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So what I'm about to say, it couldn't have been then because I was watching the All-Star game.
I got you, okay.
But at some point over the weekend, I saw again, because, they replay these 30 for 30s from time to time.
Yep.
I saw the 30 for 30 on Fab 5.
That's a great one. I DVR'd that so I can watch it again at my leisure.
Well, I watched it again, and it was just kind of funny. First of all, it really, really saddens me that those guys, Chris Webber and Jalen Rose and Juwan Howard, that they're still kind of at odds. Well, basically everybody's at odds with Chris Webber because he's the only one who won't admit to his mistakes as a very, very, very young man and taking that money from Ed Martin, some $280,000, and that's the source of contention. Jalen admits he took some things, but they were much, much smaller. And everybody has kind of admitted their role. Ed Martin can't because he's passed on, but everybody's kind of admitted their role except for Chris. And that has been a source of contention because his was the largest transgression, and thus the reason why the Wolverines were forced, after the investigation was concluded, to vacate all of their wins, including the national championship game appearance, Final Four, the Fab Five, legacy was essentially wiped out. Banners gone from Chrysler Arena, right? And that is continuing to be a source of, disagreement and tension between them. And that makes me sad because they ought to be able to look back at those days and really, kind of revel in how they changed college basketball because they did.
Yes, they did.
In a lot of ways. And I loved every second of it, by the way.
Honestly, I've thought about it, and I wasn't as big a fan in the moment, and that's probably stems from that famed regional final overtime game in their first run where they played the Buckeyes. But looking back on it, I'm actually mad that I wasn't a bigger fan of them.
Well, you know what's interesting, Jim? I was more of a fan of them in the same way that I was always more of a fan of the Showtime Lakers as opposed to their nemesis,
the Celtics,
which was Duke in the Michigan saga.
Yeah.
And with the Fab Five.
Right.
And the Celtics. And it's weird. I liked Flash. I liked Flair.